All right, good morning, everyone. Robbie here with Splash Painting. I appreciate you watching this Coffee with Contractor Talk. So this morning I have a special guest. It's a gentleman I've been wanting to talk to for quite some time because I made quite a good friendship with his son. But today we have Doug from Protall on with us. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Good morning. Feeling just fine.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So, Doug, we're going to jump right into this. Tell us about where you're located at. Tell us about your business. What is it you do? Because your shirt kind of tells, but I want to hear it from you.
All right. We're from South Jersey, about 35 minutes from the beach. And we have been painting for 28 years. Started it as a direct result of my relationship with God, really. Trusting in Him for provisions for the family. And I'm not going to get into that, the spiritual part, beyond telling you that that's the source of our income is from God above. But if anybody wants to talk to me about it, or my son, we'd be happy to. So what went on at that point was I was working in a sheet metal shop for about a year or two. It was about 2 years. Then I was working for a builder for a couple of years, and I noticed the painting aspect of the construction and was very much drawn to it. And so basically, it was in 1990 that I started, and it was a result of the fact that the economy was tanking, really.
Yeah.
And so I started painting for my mother-in-law, and I liked it. She liked it. I got paid, and she had many colleagues, teachers that were friends. She had friends that needed a painter, so that's how it started, really.
Nice. So I actually know your son pretty well. We've become pretty good friends. Your son and I have.
Right.
Your shirt says Protall. Explain that. From my understanding, you're pretty tall, but how did that actual name come about?
Well, there came a point where I had to register a name in Atlantic County, and so I went into the office and I submitted Reliable Painting, and the name had already been taken. So I said, well, I needed something that would fit on the same space on my magnetic on my truck. And it just came to me, Protall Painting. Why not, right? Professional, all. We love it. We enjoy it as well. The name,
Well, how tall are you?
I'm 6'10", and I was 6'5" when I graduated high school. And 2 years into college, I finally stopped growing. And I wear an 18 shoe, and yeah, my wife is 5'3". I have to throw that in. My wife of 30 years. She's one of our best supporters for the company, really, which means a lot to us,
Yeah. Well, as a contractor myself, I know that having a strong woman behind you or a strong man, depending on, the position of where you are in your relationship, you have to have that. It's invaluable to us to have that strong person behind us, no matter their size. The small ones pack a bigger punch, I know.
Oh yeah.
So as a contractor, you do painting, interior, exterior, you do the power washing. What's the hardest thing that you feel that you still are working on after 20 something years in this business?
It's, for you and I, the new ones and even the ones involved for years, we've become very confident in our ability to do estimates, but that's always the toughest part, for us, as far as, being accurate, making sure that you're getting enough for your work, And
Yeah.
I've always kind of enjoyed being small. That sounds funny coming from a tall man, but I've enjoyed, just myself and one other painter along with me, and I never really wanted to grow beyond that because I love the people that we work for. I love the business. I love the work. I love the freedom of being small.
Yeah.
It's the size of the company, not me, of course. But so that's probably the biggest thing. I've kind of kept that down as far as just enjoying it, of staying small, making enough money. My wife, thank God, hasn't had to work for 23 years. So we're feeling really blessed. And that's not a brag. It's just, I'm very thankful to the Lord. And, but now, go ahead.
Will you manifest out to God and the universe, you're going to get back. And a lot of people don't think that. They think that, I'll tell the universe what I want and not do anything with it. You have to manifest it. You have to put the work in. And knowing your son and what he's told me about you, you've definitely put that work in, and
right.
there's contractors out there that want to stay big, that are chasing that quan, so to speak. Like, I want that $1 million a year, then there's smaller companies. I'm a relatively small company. We're like, you know what? If I'm making enough that my significant others don't have to work, but we can still vacation and pay our bills, and God's provided that for us, then great. I'm happy,
Yeah,
happiness isn't a dollar sign.
Oh, I'm with you on that completely, So we're thankful for that, but now that Edward's coming up, getting to the point where he's, ready to set up a family in a couple of years, let's say, his financial needs are going to increase. So we have to either have 2 jobs a day, out of Protall, South Jersey, or we'll see what happens really. So we really have to, we're going to have to grow for his needs,
Yeah. Oh yeah. and it's funny because actually Edward and I have talked about that. We're gonna do a round 2 video. He doesn't know this yet, but I want to have both you two on because you guys are an inspiration to a lot of people because you're a father-son duo. You have that new school mentality of Edward. You have that old school mentality of you, but it works. And a lot of people don't understand that it can work in this day and age, and it still does. But what I want to ask you, I know I asked you what the struggle is, but what's the best thing that you bring to your business for you personally? Like when you stand back and look at everything you've done, what is it that makes you stand out? Not, just because of your height, but what makes you stand out where customers are really contacting you back or recommending you to them, their friends?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, it becomes, it's probably the trust level that people have in us, how they give you the keys to their house and they trust you completely, and you're willing to pay you good money because they know they're going to get a high quality job, So that's probably, the biggest thing is that we offer who God has changed us to be, patient, kind, loving. And we bring these things to the customer, bring these things to the job. We don't shortcut, we love the relationship with the customer. Although some people don't want that. They just want you to come and paint and be on your way. For the most part, it just thrills us when they're happy, We're just like, you come to the door and we're smiling and we're happy to be there and they're happy to see us. We go through families and we work for the cousins and the grandmother and the son. We just go through these people because there's so much trust. And I think it's just that value of the relationships that we have as well as the painting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's important for our listeners, my listeners, to hear, because a lot of listeners I have are newer and they're trying to establish themselves on what it is. So I have one last question for you before we wrap it up.
Okay.
If anyone were to run into you, clearly we'd know who you were, but what would we find you doing? What is your hobby? What's the most favorite thing that you love to do when you're not painting?
Probably being with my family, is huge. And I love the outdoors. I've done a lot of cycling. I've done a lot of RV camping with the family. I was a whitewater rafting guide in Maine for one summer. I love the high adventure life in a sense,
Oh, nice. So if we see a 6 foot tall person in the forest, it's not the Sasquatch. it's
Yeah.
Mr. Doug, right?
Yeah, I have been called Bigfoot, but it's fun. But I did want to say something too,
Yeah.
is with Edward and myself, it genuinely is a very special relationship. And you're right about the old school, new school. I mean, Instagram has changed Protall painting,
Oh
between
yeah.
you have no idea. I painted with a 2-inch angular brush for like 10 years. I'm thinking, and these new brushes and these things that Instagram is bringing, the relationships we have with you and other painters is off the charts. It's just changing it, and I'm willing to keep my mouth shut and because I want Edward to grow and to
Yeah.
go. So I'm not being the arrogant and controlling father. I'm looking. My next job is to be his supporter, because
Yeah.
I'm 57. I still have plenty of time to paint. But now I'm thinking more about his future and well-being, and he'll be fine. He's unreal. He's doing fantastic.
Yeah. You guys do, I've followed you guys now, I think since one of the first weeks that Protall launched. I made a video joking with you guys about how tall you were about the gooseneck, because you're talking about different brushes.
Right.
And based on that video that I sent to Edward, I tagged Protall in it. This friendship's just emerged from it. And it's amazing that still in this day and age, I deal with contractors who don't want to talk because they're trying to be secretive. And, I went into my local paint store. I don't know if you have this experience, but this is the way I feel about it as a contractor. And this girl was behind the desk with another rep, and I asked, hey, who's this? Who's the rep? Because I'd never seen him before. And he's like, oh, I'm so and so rep. And she's like, well, I'm your competition. I'm your number one competition here. And I looked at her and I said, you're not my competition, because
No.
there's a million gallons of paint in this paint store, and I can't paint it all. I'm a community guy over competition. And it really baffled her that I said that. But with Instagram, and you hit it, Instagram has created this community,
Yes.
because you can post something that you did really well, and you'll open your mailbox the next day and be like, hey, Doug or Edward, how did you guys do this? Or vice versa. I've gotten questions from Edward like, hey, Rob, how did you go about doing this? Or where did you get that paintbrush from? So, Instagram is the perfect vehicle for that. And it's refreshing to hear an old school guy be so open to the new style of change, because 10 years ago, my dad was a contractor himself, but 10 years ago, you didn't talk to other contractors.
No.
At all.
No, you just whoever you would see in the paint store, and unfortunately, not all of them are happy to be doing what they're doing, like they're trapped or something. Like, I'm not trapped. I have no boundaries to what we can do, in a sense. And so, yeah, it's no competition, you're not going to see my van in Utah,
No,
but
no. I
I'm
wear your shirt. I do wear your shirt sometimes painting. And it's funny, but I tell people like, hey, this is just my friends. They sent me a shirt, and it's a paint shirt. I think I want to tell you, Doug, I think that first and foremost, you've raised a beautiful son, and that's very indicative of you and your wife.
Thank you.
I love Edward as a friend, and
Yeah.
I respect what he and I are building as a friendship. And I feel that, that's a pure shadow of what he's been raised around, the love of God and the love of his mom and dad. So, good job on you. You're doing a beautiful work, and I know you're going to continue. I would like to have you and Edward on. I think it'd be a very good conversation to hear how, as you're saying, you have this, I'm comfortable here, and then you have your son in a higher nest saying, okay, Bird, this is here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let me help you move to another tree for you and your own family.
Right, because that's I love him so much, and my daughter and my wife and whatnot. But I mean, that's gonna be my next job, like you said. Like, he's gonna fly like an eagle, and I'm excited,
Well,
So,
it's been a pleasure having you with Coffee with Contractors, Doug. I know you got to get back on the job site, so thank you so much. Give your son a hug and a high five for me, and we'll look forward to round 2 with you guys, okay?
All right, thank you, Robbie.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.